Hello my crafty friends, Corrine here from Corrine Crafts. I wanted to show you how I made this card. I set myself a challenge that I wanted to use some stamps with feathers on, but I didn't have an embossing folder for the background, so I decided to compromise and make it a different way. So if you watch the video, we're going to see how I created the emboss effect background, even though I didn't have the embossing folder I needed. So I'm going to get straight into it now. I hope you enjoy this and I look forward to seeing your comments. As you all know, I like to use some of the products that I already have in my stash and really challenge myself to use them rather than buy new, and this is a really good project that proves that point. So I got these feather dye stamps even from my friend Lou on one of her charity D-Stash events, and so yeah, I just paid a couple of pounds for these, but I've not actually used them. They were used because they've already been used a bit, but I wanted to use them to make my own project. So I thought these would look brilliant on one of my black and white with a pop of colour projects. So I thought that's what I would do with these. So I stamped them out and I have got these. So I just stamped them out in some blue quick dry ink and also with some black memento ink. So I just used my black memento and I just stamped them all over some card. And then I found myself some dies. So these are some dies from one of my previous signature collections. I'm just going to find the third one and I'm just going to use these. So what these are is it's a torn edge with a with this faux stitch detail. So yeah, I've just used these from a previous collection and I'm just going to pop that on to something like here. I quite like having the eye of the feather on, so I'm just going to pop that on there, and then I will just cut that out. And by trimming down that paper, it means I'm able to use my small die cutting machine. So we can put that into there, lift this up and go straight through my smaller die cutting machine. When I do my small die cutting machine, I always go forwards and backwards. So let's move those out of the way. And I've done this with not just the black and white one, but I've also done it with the blue as well. So I've got myself 3 little tiles. So as you can see, this is black and white with the blue as my pop of colour. But I came across a problem in so much as I wanted to do a nice background to go behind this, but I didn't have any feather embossing folders. But what I did find was my Bohemian Wild Feathers die set. So I thought, I've done it before now, why not make a faux emboss background using this rather than spending money buying a new embossing folder? And that's what I've done. So I've got these 3 here. Let's just put those there for a minute. We're going to do some more work on those. And then what I have done is I have cut out that feather background. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Now that would look lovely over maybe some blue, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it over the white like that. So the easiest way to do that is to get a dotted tape pen, or you could have put some card, some adhesive on the back, and I'm just going to put that. I'm doing it over here because this is actually what I'm going to be sticking it down onto, so if I'm careful it'll actually add adhesive where I need it to. Now I would probably go in with a lot more adhesive than that, and then we can just stick it on to there we go, just like that, and then trim it down to the size that you want. So this is why it's good to stick it all over. So I've just trimmed it down like that, so you can see I've got this now. It looks like an embossed background, but it's a faux embossed background because I didn't have an embossing folder, and I'm not one to give up just because I've not got the embossing folder. So let's have a look at what we've got here. So I've got the blue, some blue cards. You can see it's a really good match for the blue ink, or the nearest match I could do. So I put blue on there. I did cut out the centre and then some white, and I'm just going to pop that onto some black and then pop it onto there, I think. So let's pop the black on. So, you know, keeping it black and white with just that couple of little spots of the blue colour, I thought would really work. So I'll put that one onto here, and that's going to go on there. So that's my colour palette. I've got my blue, my white and my black. And then we can put these on. So I've just put on a little bit of foam tape just to add a little bit of dimension. those are off the back. Just need to take that bit off. And as you know, I often do a little bit of wet glue. So yeah, so feather cards are quite a useful card to do. They can be sort of condolence cards, or they can just be thinking of you cards. Now I want that to go, I think that is upright on this. Yes, that's definitely looks upright. I think it's that feather, it's sort of the main focal one. That's definitely upright. So just put that front and centre. That little bit of wet glue allows me to line everything up. When I'm happy, I'll press it down. Now, I did start off by getting these tiles and put them on here, but I think I lose them. So all I've done is, I did think about using the next size square die up, but that made them a little bit too big. So all I'm going to do is, I've got a little something on there, is I've just cut out some black and blue card, and they're about 1 3/4 inch squares, and it just gives me a little bit of a border all the way around. It really is quite a fine border, especially as these are a torn edge, so they're not totally symmetrical on all sides. But I just thought that works. I'm just going to turn that over. I think that's moved. Yes, it did. I felt that move then. Just press that. Come on. Remember, with tacky glue, and I'm not the best at doing it, less is more. The less tacky glue you use, the quicker it goes tacky. So yeah, if you can try and keep it to a minimum, it will go tacky and grab nice and quickly. So I'm going to do that on the black, and I was about to do that on the blue, but I thought I need to just to give that a little bit of a lift. So whilst everything here dries, I've got a scrappy piece of card, and it really is a scrappy piece of card, and I'm going to put that one on there. Let's move that out of the way. It's got a gem on it, which we don't need. And then I'm going to get a Versamark ink pad. So it's just a clear ink pad. I've got a nice clean one. The first time I did this, my ink pad wasn't very clean, so it actually transferred all the dirtiness to here. And I'm just going to stamp all over with my Versamark ink pad, just like that. There we go. And then I'm going to get some clear embossing powder. Now what you just need to do is remember to turn over. You can see I was working on this side. So just pop that over on that side, and then sprinkle it all over with your embossing powder. Let's do it with that one, I think. Let's find that. And then give that a tap. That means I can get rid of that. And put that back down there, put that on there. Then I'm going to get my heat gun. So you can't see much on there, but there is embossing powder on here. So let's just get that a little bit warm while I get the embossing powder off my pokey tool. And then we can just heat over this. And what that's going to do, so I've done a solid one, so it's going to give it a glaze, a gorgeous, gorgeous glaze. And I just think it's going to make the blue one stand out even more. So just on here. Now if you don't work too fast, you can just go over it again with your Versamark ink pad. I've done that before now. Oops, it's starting to move because it's all setting. Now that's a bit patchy actually, so I think I will go over it. Now sometimes when it looks a little bit pot marked, if you go over it, keep going over it with the heat, those pot marks will dissipate, but that's not. So I just don't think it's thick enough. So I'm going to turn that back over, put that on there, make sure that's, just give that a second to set. Now if I wanted to, I could just sprinkle ink over, but I don't think I've got good enough coverage. So I'm just going to go over it again with my Versamark again. All over. And then the reason I keep flipping my card over is because there's wet ink on that side, and the embossing powder would stick to it. We don't want that. So there we go. So lift that. I'm not going to brush too much off. I'm not going to tap it too hard, because the more embossing powder, the better. Now, let's tip that and put that on there. My heat gun's still nice and hot. And it's getting quite heavy because it's got lots of embossing powder on. So let's go over. So it goes a little bit dull while the embossing powder's on, but then as we start to set that, oh, I can see that really running fast. Oh, that's amazing. Right, so whilst that's nice and hot, just turn that off. I'm going to go over with my powder because it's a second layer, so it'll just take a little bit longer to set. And again, I'm not going to tap too much off. Can you see? It's really misted it up. But it's stuck to that wet embossing powder before it had a chance to set. That'll probably do, I think. So I'm going to move that out of the way. Put that one back on there. And then put that on here. And this should, look at that. You can see that. I don't know if you can see it. I can see it literally running in front of me because the heat gun's hot. The card's hot underneath. The embossing powders are hot underneath. And then just go over, make sure there are no bubbles and no pop marks at all, and that should give me a lovely glazed tile. Just giving that a second, but can you see on there, look at that, how that shines. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? So that should be all right now. I can just pick it up and be very careful just to touch it on the edges. Get rid of that tiny bit of paper, and then that will now go onto there. Look at that, I love that, but I don't want to do it to all of them. Just wanted to do it to the blue one, just to make the blue one, you know, be a point of difference. There we go. And that's now flat onto there, because it can't go anywhere because of, oh, I've already stuck those down, haven't I? I was thinking I hadn't. There we go. Right, so we've now got our 3 lovely tiles, and I love how this tile slightly stands out. I can feel embossing powder on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these on. I'm not going to put them on straight. I'm going to put them maybe like that. I think looks good. So I've just put foam pad on the back. And if you do get onto the Sticks 2 website, you'll see that they've got some old stock of the Corrine Craft foam pads on a really good price. They've got left with a batch. So yeah, maybe go and have a look. So I'm going to put that one there. I'm going to pop. The other thing you could do is twist the feathers in different directions. But for now, I'm going to sort of put them roughly the same. Now, I thought about putting a foam pad on the back of here. But what I thought I might do, just making sure that's nice and flat, is I thought, because those have got foam pads on, I'm thinking I'm going to put that like that. So I need the glue, most of the glue under here, that side. And then just a little bit to grab on that side. There we go. That's why I love 3D glue. It's because you can really play around with it and get a good coverage. There we are. Now, the other thing I've done is I stamped myself a sentiment, just hello friend, and I did it in black and I did it in blue. So the blue is exactly the same as the blue for there. Do I want it in black or do I want it in blue? I can probably hear you shouting. I wish I could hear. I wish I could hear what you're shouting. Sorry, you probably can't see that. Black or blue? I'm going to go blue. Deck with it. I think we'll go blue. Again, foam pads would work brilliantly on here, but you know me. If there's an easier way, I will. So let's put that down that side, sort of away from the blue. And then the final little bits I'm going to do is I've got these blue little gems. Let's just put a little batch of 3 there and a little batch of 3 there. So the sort of the moral with this card is, if you see a project and you think, oh, I fancy making that project, but I don't have the embossing folder or I don't have the die, have a look at what you've got. I didn't have a feather embossing folder, but I really want, I picked out some others. I picked out like a wave one, but I thought, no, I really want feather background to go with the feathers on the front. Didn't have one, so I changed it. I made it what I've got, and I'm sure you can do that. Just a few little gems to sort of tie in the colours, but that is today's black and white with a pop of colour. I hope you like that. Again, hopefully another quick one. Lots we're getting through, just using up some of the bits that we've got. So we're starting new year, new craft, or new year, clearing off those craft desks, using up the bits we've got, and I hope you like that. This could be a sympathy card. I just put a little hello, so you could just sort of thinking of someone, however you want to do it. But there you go. I hope you like that. I'd love to know what you do. Please drop me a comment on the video, and also please don't forget to click on any of the links, and anybody that can click on my Buy Me a Coffee page, I will be very grateful indeed. And And as always, I'm going to put some links in round here, so some other videos and my subscribe up here. So until next time, my friends, you take care, enjoy your crafting. I hope you are doing lots, and I'll speak to you very soon. Bye for now.